How to build muscle on a vegan diet, and also the two biggest mistakes people who want to build muscle make. That's the topic of this video, and that's what we're going to talk about, and that's what we're going to, I'm going to give you some insight into exactly how to build muscle on a vegan diet, and also the two biggest mistakes that anyone makes who wants to build muscle and doesn't do it. Because quite often people think they're hard gainers. They think they're hard gainers because they're trying their hardest, you know, and they're gaining hard. They're not gaining, you know, they're not making gains. They think themselves a hard gainer. But there's no such thing as a hard gainer. There's only poor strategies for building muscle. There's no such thing as a hard gainer. There are some fast gainers. There's definitely some fast gainers. There's people who touch a weight and they just kind of blow up. And you know, I know some people like that. But for me, I had to work hard at it, and I used to think I was a hard gainer. I used to think I was a hard gainer because I was working out like crazy and I wasn't building muscle. And I could see other people building muscle faster than me and getting stronger faster than me. And I used to think, okay, I must be a hard gainer, you know? And so what I was actually doing was I was following the plan. I was 15 years old, 16 years old for 2 years solid. I worked out 2.5 hours a day, like 5 days a week in the gym. I was in the gym 5 days a week, 2.5 hours a day. And I used to think I was a hard gainer because I wasn't building as fast as I think I should have been. And I was following the plans in the bodybuilding books. I was buying the bodybuilding magazines. I was following the plans of professional bodybuilders. And that's why I was looking at their plans. So I spent like 2.5 hours in the gym every day, 5 days a week, following their plans. So the thing I was doing was I was overtraining. What I didn't realize was, at the time, was all those guys, well, I kind of did realize they were doing it, but I didn't realize that I shouldn't be following their plans. They were all on steroids. And if you're on steroids, then you can work out a lot more and you can recover a lot faster, and then you can take on much bigger workload. But for me, I wasn't doing that. So I needed to train less. So I was overtraining. It's one of the biggest mistakes bodybuilders, weight trainers, people who do any sort of training make, who want to build muscle specifically or gain strength, is they overtrain. If they're not getting results, probably chances are they're overtraining. That's what I did. I overtrained like crazy. I overtrained so much that I couldn't even get my t-shirt off after coming out of the gym because my muscles were so completely depleted. I can't get my t-shirt off, you know? I have to get a friend to help me take it off because I'd blown out my muscles so much after 2.5 hours in the gym every day. I was inspired, I was motivated, but just wasn't getting the results because I was overtraining, you know? So that's the thing. And then I found the less I trained, the better results I got. And it happened because I was 17, I was in the gym, and one of the powerlifting guys came up to me and said, look, there's a powerlifting competition in here next month in 6 weeks' time, and you know, you're pretty strong. What age are you? And I said 17. He says, you know, you qualify as a junior. He says, you're really strong for a junior. He said, do you want to enter it? I said, yeah, sure, why not? You know, so I entered the powerlifting competition, and I said, well, how should I train for it? And he gave me a training regime, like a strength training regime, which was like a quarter of the, or less than a quarter of the work I was doing. So I just went in and did that for 6 weeks. And I was about 3 kilos below my weight as well that I could be. So I thought, well, I'll just eat more as well. So I ate more and I trained his way, and suddenly I had more gains in those 6 weeks than I would have had in 6 months. And I was like, wow, I've trained less here and I'm getting better results. And so that was one of the things. I just realized then that the less I train, actually the better results I get. Obviously there's a time when you can train too little and then you don't get much results. But you've got to find that balance, right? And then the second thing is not eating enough. You know, if you want to really build muscle, if you want to get big and strong and build muscle, you gotta eat a colossal amount of food. And that's one of the things I wasn't doing. I just wasn't eating enough. You know, I just wasn't. So I wasn't building the muscle. And then once I met people who were like really into it, really dedicated, and they were just eating a colossal amount, eating until they almost like vomited. And I thought, wow, that's intense. But that's if you really want to get big, if you want to build and you want to get strong, you have to eat a massive amount of food. Those are the two biggest mistakes: overtraining, not eating enough. Two biggest mistakes. And whole foods, obviously not junk food, but eating whole foods. Alright, so the second thing I wanted to cover is how to build muscle on a vegan diet. because I'm like a shapeshifter, you know. I've been over 200 pounds of like rock solid muscle. At the minute I'm like 50 pounds less than that, you know. I've like really trimmed down, do like a lot of martial arts training and things like that, you know. So I just don't want to be that big muscular guy anymore, you know. It takes a lot of dedication just to be that, just the amount you have to eat, you know. But I'm going to build muscle this year. This year I've decided, okay, I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to get you know, more of like body strength. I'm going to do a lot of body work. I'm going to get more body strength than I've ever had before. So my focus is actually to be able to, you know, apply it, to have real world strength where I can apply it in different things. At the same time, I'm obviously going to build muscle, you know. So that's what I'm going to do this year. So on a vegan diet, I've been a vegan for many years. Now, how do I do that? I'll tell you how I do it. Exactly the same as somebody else would do it who's not on a vegan diet. There's no difference. You just do it, right? There's no special thing you need to do on a vegan diet to build muscle. You do exactly the same thing as you would do on any other diet. You just eat enough whole foods. You eat enough calories from whole foods, and that's all you do. You don't have to have a special amount of protein or a special amount of anything. You eat as close to nature as possible, as much wholesome food as possible, and you eat as much of it as possible on a vegan diet, and you will build muscle no matter what. You build muscle, you do intense workouts. Obviously it has to have the intense workouts. You eat a colossal amount of plant-based food, you know, eating like maybe double the calories you're eating right now. You will build muscle. It's as simple as that. There's no secret to building muscle on a vegan diet. It's exactly the same as any other diet. You just do it, you know. There's no disadvantage of being on a vegan diet. The only you'll just build more quality muscle. You'll build more quality muscle on a vegan diet, and you'll probably get less injuries as well because you've got less inflammation, less acid in the body when you're eating a whole food vegan diet. Okay, that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and tune in tomorrow.